Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to this explainer where we're setting out on a seriously fascinating investigative journey. We're heading straight to the Giza Plateau. We're going to unpack both the verified discoveries and, well, the unverified secrets hiding inside and beneath the largest stone monuments ever built by human hands. For centuries, right, we thought we had the Great Pyramid completely mapped out. But as you're about to see, modern technology is proving we've barely scratched the surface. I mean, just think about this for a second. For 200 years, scholars, archaeologists, and millions of tourists have been mapping, studying, and literally crawling through the Great Pyramid of Khufu. We thought we need the whole layout, the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, the Grand Gallery, the whole shebang. But recently, state-of-the-art tech peered straight through that rock and found an empty space the size of a commercial airliner. And it's completely sealed inside 4,000 years of solid stone. There are no doors and absolutely no known way in.
Section 1. The Impossible Void. Hidden in Plain Sight.
So how do you miss a massive room hiding in plain sight? Well, that brings us to our first major clue. Back in 2017, the Scan Pyramids project, which brought together these elite scientific teams from France, Japan, and Egypt, made a massive breakthrough. And the crazy thing is, they didn't come with shovels or pickaxes, and they definitely didn't rely on the old architectural maps we've been using for decades. Instead, they used something called muon radiography. Muons are basically cosmic particles that are constantly raining down from space at nearly the speed of light. They pass right through empty space, but get blocked by really dense stuff like stone. By setting up detectors to just count these particles over a period of months, researchers can literally map the inside of a solid object without ever laying a finger on it. This is the exact same tech used to safely look inside active volcanoes and damaged nuclear reactors. And when they pointed it at the Great Pyramid, they found a massive gap. Now, to put that into perspective, that gap is at least 100 feet long. Some scans actually estimate it's closer to 130 feet. It sits roughly 150 feet up inside the pyramid, directly above the famous Grand Gallery. And here is where it gets incredibly strange, honestly. The void appears to perfectly mirror the Grand Gallery's steep, vaulted shape. It's almost like a hidden twin, built right on top of the original, and completely walled off. Now, mainstream science often looks at this void and says, oh, it's just a simple structural relief cavity. Basically, a hollow space meant to keep the millions of tons of stone above from crushing the Grand Gallery down below. And, that makes sense in theory, but there is a glaring logical flaw here. The known relief chambers above the King's Chamber, those are cramped, rough-hewn, purely functional crawl spaces. But this void is massive. It's carefully placed, and it has absolutely no corridors or doors leading to it. So if it's just a functional gap, why carefully shape it and intentionally hide it so well that no human being could ever reach it? Section 2. The Hidden Corridor, Behind the North Face. Now, what's really interesting about all this is our second major clue. Fast forward a bit to March 2023, and the Scan Pyramids team announced they found a 9-meter-long, 2-meter-wide, finished corridor with a vaulted ceiling. And this wasn't hidden deep in the pyramid's core either. It was sitting right behind the north face, tucked straight behind a giant upside-down V of limestone blocks that we call the chevron. You absolutely have to appreciate the immense scientific rigor here. They didn't just rely on one scan and call it a day. No, they confirmed this corridor using 3 completely different physics principles. We're talking the cosmic particles of muon radiography, radio waves from ground-penetrating radar, and high-frequency sound waves from ultrasonic testing. 3 different machines, 3 completely different ways of being wrong, and they all pointed to the exact same empty hallway. Finally, they threaded a tiny endoscope camera through a crack in the stone and looked inside, confirming the whole thing with their own eyes. It's safe to say this discovery shook the archaeological world. Take Zahi Hawass, for example. He's perhaps the fiercest defender of conventional Egyptology out there, a guy who has spent his entire life defending the standard story of the pyramids. But when he looked at the scans of this deliberately hidden, completely empty space right above the original entrance, even he admitted the truth. He stated plainly that he believes there is something important underneath that empty corridor. He acknowledged that the pyramid is holding more secrets. Section 3. The Flooded Tomb, the Osiris Shaft. Okay, let's move along and see how this builds. We have 2 verified, sealed spaces inside Khufu's pyramid, right? So let's step outside into the gritty reality of physical excavation. We are moving away from the high-tech particle scans and heading deep beneath the causeway of the neighboring second pyramid, the one built for Khufu's son, Khafre, to a place called the Osiris Shaft. The Greek historian Herodotus actually wrote about a hidden island tomb surrounded by water right here, over 2,000 years ago. And everyone just assumed it was a myth. But guess what? It's real. To get to the bottom, you have to descend a staggering 100 feet straight down into solid limestone bedrock. Level 1 is just an empty stop on the way down. Level 2 branches off into 6 side rooms holding ancient artifacts and human remains. And Level 3, down at the very bottom, is a massive flooded hall holding a perfectly preserved, entirely empty stone sarcophagus.
But here's the detail that truly changes everything. Archaeologists found ceramic fragments dating back to the 6th dynasty, roughly 2300 BCE, down in that flooded bottom chamber. Because that's the oldest datable material they found, it means the deepest level is actually the oldest level. The ancient builders didn't just dig, hit water, and say, "Oops, let's stop." No, they deliberately drove this shaft straight down through the water table with immense, almost unimaginable effort. It really challenges our modern arrogance about ancient capabilities, doesn't it? They went to all this incredible trouble just to place a symbolic empty tomb in the pitch dark.
And of course, the mystery just deepens. Down on the west wall of that flooded shaft, the builders carved a tunnel. It goes exactly 6 meters into the solid rock, and then it is completely sealed off. It literally leads nowhere that modern explorers can reach. Just think about the pattern we're seeing here. We have a sealed void inside the pyramid, a sealed corridor behind the pyramid's face, and a sealed underwater tunnel 100 feet beneath the plateau. It establishes a clear, undeniable pattern of intentional, highly secretive ancient construction. Section 4, the unverified underground world beneath the pyramids. Now, this undeniable pattern of hidden spaces really sets the stage for a massive, and I mean highly controversial claim that made huge headlines in March 2025. An Italian research team led by Corrado Malanga and Filippo Biondi announced that they had looked deeper beneath the Khafre pyramid than anyone ever had before. And they didn't just claim to find a single tomb, they claimed to have discovered an entire underground complex, descending more than 2,000 feet, that's 640 meters, into the earth. They reported seeing 8 massive vertical shafts, spiral pathways wrapping around them, and gigantic cubic chambers. Honestly, it sounded like some kind of ancient machine, but the institutional reality hit back hard and fast. Zahi Hawass immediately dismissed the whole thing as a fabrication. Independent fact-checkers noted the team's full report remained completely unpublished, the data was unverified, and, most importantly here, absolutely no physical excavation has been permitted to check if any of it is actually down there. To really understand why this 2025 claim is so heavily debated, we have to look at the technology they actually used: synthetic aperture radar tomography. Now, to be fair, this method is based on a real, peer-reviewed paper from 2022. It uses satellite radar data and these faint seismic microvibrations in the Earth. But there's a big catch. It relies on incredibly heavy mathematical modeling. Radar specialists are quick to warn that when you overprocess weak, ambiguous signals, background noise can accidentally be shaped into perfectly geometric, unverified structures. Actually, a clean, repeating pattern of 8 identical shafts is exactly the kind of thing that should make us cautious, rather than immediately jumping up and down with excitement. Section 5. The real ancient mystery. Facts over fantasy. So the crucial point here is that we really need to separate the fantasy from the facts. We don't need to rely on unverified claims of 2,000-foot-deep ancient underground machines to be amazed by the Giza Plateau. The grounded reality of what we have actually proven is staggering all on its own. Let's recap what is absolutely scientifically verified. We've got the 100-foot impossible void confirmed by 3 independent teams. We have the 9-meter vaulted north face corridor literally photographed with a camera. And we have the 100-foot deep, physically excavated Osiris shaft. These 3 locations prove without a shadow of a doubt that the ancient Egyptians were engineers of an unimaginable caliber. They deliberately built and successfully hid wildly complex spaces that our most advanced science is literally only just now finding. And this brilliantly illustrates the true story of the pyramids. We don't need aliens or lost high-tech power systems to explain these wonders. The real marvel here is unparalleled ancient human engineering. A civilization living 4.5 millennia ago designed and hid structures so perfectly, folding secrets into millions of tons of stone with such deliberate intent that modern science is still playing catch-up today. Simply put, they were just way better at hiding things than we're at finding them. Which leaves us with one final, totally unavoidable thought. Every single confirmed discovery in the last decade was found by pointing new technology at old stone and finding something no one predicted. So, if the massive void is completely sealed off, the hidden corridor is seemingly empty, and the deep underground shaft just abruptly stops at a flooded wall, what else is waiting in the dark beneath our feet? It definitely seems the mysteries of the Giza Plateau are far from fully mapped. Thanks for checking out this explainer with me today, and hey, always keep questioning what you think you know.